Hello everyone, I am Professor Nayan Asne, Department of Information Technology, Parvatibai Genba Muse College of Engineering, Wagholi, Pune. So in today's session, we will start the Unit 5 of Software Designing and Modeling. So your Unit 5 of Software Designing and Modeling is Design Principles and Patterns. So first, let us see the basic definitions of the patterns and the design principles. So in software engineering, a software design pattern is a general reusable solution to a commonly occurring problems in a software design. So the software patterns gives us a template for description which contains the description to how to solve the particular problems which are occurring numbers of time or that problems have some similarities. So the design patterns is a general reusable solution to a commonly occurring problems in a software designing. We can say it is a template of solution for regularly occurring problems in a software designing. It is not a just finished design that can be directly transformed into the code, but it is just a description, or we can say the template, that for how to solve a problem that can be used in a many different solutions. So it gives us the description. It is not just a final design we can just put it into the code and run, but it contains the template and description. So it will show us how to solve the problems which are continuously occurring or which are commonly occurring in your software designing phase. So that is your design pattern. So we have a different types of design pattern in unit 5. So that can be creational patterns. There are different types of creational patterns in your syllabus. There are structural patterns, that are behavioral patterns, singleton is there, adapter is there, state is there, and strategy is there. So there are different types of patterns which we are going to see in this unit 5. And we have the design principles. So first I will tell you just the layout of the unit 5, that is your design principles and patterns. First we have the introduction to the patterns. Then we have general responsibility assignment software pattern, that is GRASP. Then introduction to the same. Then creator, information expert, low coupling, controller, high collision, polymorphism, pure fabrication, indirection, and protected variation. So these are the commonly 9 to 10 types of your GRASP, that is your general responsibility assignment software pattern. And other than that, we have gang of 4. So that gang of 4 contains your main patterns of your software designing. That is the creational patterns, which has numbers of different patterns under it. Then we have structural pattern. Then we have behavioral pattern. So structure and behavior again contain the sub patterns in it. So it has the different numbers of patterns under the structure and behavior. Then we have a singleton pattern, we have adapter, we have state pattern, and we have state and strategy. So these are the different patterns we are going to see in a half section, the other half section. First we will see the first design pattern. As we have seen the definition, that is nothing but the template of the description that we are going to use for commonly occurring problem in your software designing phase. And then we have just the design principles. So we need to list the different design principles which occurs in your software designing phase. So the design principles provides the high level guidelines to design the better software application. They do not provide the implementation guidelines, and they are not bound to any programming language. So it is represented a set of guidelines that helps us to avoid to having a bad design. So it gives us just the guidelines, the rules, the protocols that need to be followed by your designing your software. So there are 5 different types of principles which we can list under the OOD, that is object oriented design, as we have seen from first to 4 unit. The object design principles, the object design types, the different methodologies under the object oriented design methodologies. So there are 5 different principles under the OOD, that is object oriented design or object oriented methodology. The first one is open close principle. That means the software entities like your classes, like your modules, like functions should be open for the extension. So this can be extended with the versions. Okay, and but not it is closed for the modification. That is your first principle, open close principle. That means your software entities like your classes, like your modules, like functions can be open for the extensions, but they are closed for the modification. So one cannot modify the classes until and unless there is a change need. So first principle is open and close principles, that entities like your classes, modules, functions are open for the extensions but closed for the modification. Your second principle is dependency inversion principle. That means your high level modules should not be depend on the low level modules. So the both should be depend on abstraction. Now there is again difference between abstraction and the details. So details should be depend on abstraction, but abstraction should not be depend on your details. So always remember, the high level modules should not be dependent on your low level modules. That is your second principle, dependency inversion principle. The third one is the interface segregation principle. So the client should not be forced to depend on the interfaces that they have not used. So whenever we are planning for, or whenever you are designing a interface for your software application, so client or the customer should not be forced. The developers or any team member should not force the client to make or to install or to force them to use the interface that is not used in your software application. So whatever methods we are using for that particular interface, only that method should be implemented and given to your client. So the client should not be forced to depend on any interface that is not used in the software application. That is your third principle, interface segregation principles. So interface should be segregated. Whichever interfaces and their methods are used in a software application, only that methods should be forced to the customers. Others which are not used should not be forced to your clients and customers. The fourth principle is single responsibility principles. That means the class should have only one reason to change. If there are multiple reasons for the class change, then we have to divide the functionality of that class into different classes. Okay, so one class should contain only one functionality. If there are numbers of different functionalities, then we cannot merge into single class. We need to divide, we need to segregate that different functionality into different classes. So the fourth principle is your single responsibility principles. That means a single class should have only one responsibility. And fifth one is Liskow's substitution principle. That is, the derived type must be completely suitable for their base type. So that is Liskow's substitutional principles. That means whatever derived classes are there, whatever derived types are there, that must be suitable for their base type. That means base classes. Whatever the child classes are there, derived classes are there, that should be suitable or substitutionable to your base classes. So all the properties of that base classes should be derived in that derived class, and derived class should be suitable and substitutionable to your parent class. So these are the 5 principles under the OOD. The first one, again I will repeat all the principles. The first one is the open close principles. That means all the entities like class, module, function should be open for the extension but closed for the modification. Second is your dependency inversion principle. That means the high level module should not be depend on your low level module, and both can be depend on the abstraction. The third one is the interface segregation principles. That means the client should not be forced to depend on the interface that are not used in the software application. The fourth one is single responsibility principle. That means only one class should have one reason to change. That means the class should have one responsibility. If there are different responsibility, or suppose if one class is having 2 responsibilities, so that 2 responsibilities should be divided in 2 different functions and 2 different classes. And the fifth one is Liskow's substitutional principles. That means the derived type must be completely suitable to the base type. So this is about your design principles and patterns. We have seen the in this lecture we have seen the design principles, 5 design principles. So what are the design principles? What is the definition for the design principles? They provide the high level guidelines to the design so that we can make our software application better. So they do not provide the implementation guidelines. and not bounded to any programming language. So what they provide just high level guidelines how to design a software. They will not provide you how to implement the things or what programming language should be chosen. So and they are the set of the guidelines that helps us to have to understand what makes the design bad and what makes the design good. So that is your design principles. And what about the pattern? The patterns are nothing but the template, or we can say the description, for commonly occurring problem in your software designing. So we can say it is a general reusable solution to a commonly occurring problems. We have different types of patterns which we'll see in a next half part. So I hope this session is understood to all of you. If you have any query, you can comment in comment box, or you can just ask me in a Zoom session. So in next session, we'll start with actual GRASP, that is your standard for general responsibility assignment software patterns, and we'll see the different 9-10 patterns in it. That is your creator, information expert, low coupling, controller, high collision, indirection, polymorphism, protected variation, and the pure fabrication. So these things we'll see in the next session. Thank you.